Here's what I've determined to be the most efficient way to study and prepare for your big day. First off, make sure you know your Hebrew letters. This includes the actual letters and the vowel points. Commit to making study a habit. Do it every day. This is really important. There is no shortcut in learning your Hebrew, so do make it a habit. And finally, make sure you're studying in a calm environment. The car is not that environment. Make sure it's relatively quiet and free from distraction. When you begin to practice, be sure to use your finger. This will help you concentrate and look at the words as you are reading them. Underline the words, don't cover up the letters or the vowels. Begin studying 30 minutes a day, every day. And if you can't study for 30 minutes in any given day, study as much as you can. But develop that habit early on. And your best friend is going to be repetition. To repeat the reading or the chanting of the words to build that muscle memory to make sure that it stays in your brain. Using a variety of approaches is going to help you not get bored and learn more efficiently. So if you find that starting at the beginning of your reading isn't working, start at the end. Mix things up. And I can't emphasize this enough, practice out loud and loudly. If you just practice on the inside, you're not using all of the muscles of your mouth, your tongue, your larynx, and so on. And believe it or not, there are passageways from those nerve endings into your brain that will help you learn this more efficiently. So always practice out loud and get used to being loud so that people will hear you on your big day. As you're reading or chanting out loud, be sure to emphasize the accent of the words and the pronunciation of the words. Really be very meticulous as you are practicing. That will ensure that you are very accurate and become fluent. Practice slowly. You don't have to rush. This is not a race. The idea here is more repetitions, but at a slower pace to again cement that material in your brain. Sometimes, but not always, it's easier to study with someone else, somebody who will be listening to you and checking your Hebrew or just encouraging you. It won't always be possible to study with someone else, and don't rely on that as a hard, fast rule, but sometimes you may want to chant or read your Hebrew in front of a friend or parent so that you can just show off a little bit and feel good about what you've learned. And finally, diligence and persistence. Don't let this defeat you. The next time you meet with the cantor or the rabbi, just ask your questions then and we'll fix those problems. But be sure to keep at it no matter what. You've got this. Now, a tested method to studying your material will be the rule of 10. The first part of this will involve you breaking up your Torah portion, or whatever it is you're reading, into parts. You're going to seek out the disjunctive tropes. Those are the trope marks that separate phrases from one another. The three functions of trope are music, accents, and punctuation, and we're relying on the stopping power of the punctuation marks to tell us when a phrase ends. And you're going to put a line after each disjunctive trope. Sometimes that's already done for you by the rabbi or cantor. Next, listen to that first phrase from the first word to your first line or disjunctive trope from the recording. Never ever chant along with the recording. Use your eyes, your ears, and your finger to follow along. Listen 10 times. So you'll listen to Breshit bara Elohim, Breshit bara Elohim, and you're going to listen to that 10 times. Next, it's your turn. You chant that phrase 10 times in a row out loud, not with an eye towards memorization, but rather for fluency and accuracy. Use your finger, underline those words, and then you chant on your own 10 times. Breshit bara Elohim, Breshit bara Elohim, and we just did that 10 times. Next, it's time to listen to that same exact phrase another 10 times. This time, you should try to pay attention to any mistakes you might have made the first time around. And you're going to again listen and never chant along and keep using that finger. So you'll hear the recording, Bereshit bara Elohim. You're going to listen to that another 10 times. Once again, you're now going to chant out loud that phrase another 10 times, going for fluency and accuracy. It's the second pass of the second 10 that's going to really cement this stuff in your memory, or at least remind you of what you did the first time around. Upon completing that second set of 10, ask yourself, is that fluent? Is that accurate? If not, do it another 10 of listening and chanting. And be sure to never ever go on to another phrase until the one you are studying is both fluent and accurate. If you are confident that the phrase you were studying is fluent and accurate, it's time to go to the next phrase and go up to the next disjunctive trope. And you're going to listen 10, chant 10, listen 10, and chant 10, just like you did before. In this case, 8 hashamayim ve'et haaretz. 8 hashamayim ve'et haaretz. After listening 10, you chant 10, listen 10, chant 10. Now let's say you got that second phrase down pat, it's fluent and accurate, you're ready to go. But don't go to the next phrase. Instead, put everything you learned together completely as one unit. 5 times listened, 5 times chant, and maybe you'll do it a second time. What we're trying to do here is build up your muscle memory for when you're chanting the entire passage and not just one discrete phrase. So in this case, when you listen, you're going to listen to Bereshit bara Elohim 8 hashamayim ve'et haaretz. You'll listen 5, chant 5 out loud. Once that is fluent and accurate, then you can go on to a new phrase. So now you've learned both phrases together, they are solid, go to the third phrase, then put those 3 together, and so on. But as a general rule, only study 1 verse a day. Since the previous verse was only 2 phrases long, we'll look at verse 2 to show you how it works. In this particular case, you would listen 10 times to V'ha'aretz. You'd listen 10, chant 10, listen 10, chant 10. Then go on to Hayata tohu vavohu. You'd listen to that 10 times, chant it out loud 10 times, listen 10, chant 10, go back to the beginning, V'ha'aretz, Hayata tohu vavohu. Then you go into the third phrase, listen 10, chant 10, listen 10, chant 10, back to V'ha'aretz, all 3 phrases together. In this way, you'll be able to study efficiently and retain more material because of the amount of repetitions.